Good evening and welcome. It's Sunday, June 28th. I hope I get that date right. Lately, I've been getting all the dates wrong. And you were watching Last Week Today, for a compilation of the most important news stories of the week from both legacy and new media. My name's Chuck Black. My partner in crime, as always, is Richard Gagnon. Richard, how's it going?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Everything's going great here, except that it's overcast.
Overcast? You go.
Looks like we might get some rain here for the next few days.
That doesn't sound like fun. You have to work, you have to go out, you have to clean stuff. It's high tourist season, isn't it?
Well, the tourists are starting to show up, yes.
Okay.
But it is, July 1st on Wednesday?
Yeah.
So there'll be a day off then for a lot of people, and there are a lot of people coming out here. Let me just check the weather. It's supposed to rain, on and off for the next, till Friday.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Temperature's going to be warm though.
Well, I hope that's good. That'll be relaxing.
Yeah, I might be able to go to the lake and take a bath.
I get to gloat a little bit. I'm on an island in Lake Huron, and it was a glorious day out today. It was about 24, 25 above. I very rarely get to gloat about the difference in our weathers. So thank you for the opportunity tonight.
Well, it's 21 here. So,
okay. So the temperature's not that much different.
No, not that much, no.
Now I'm all crabby.
Of course, I'm enjoying blueberries here. So.
Yeah, the fruits of the season are coming in.
Yep, we got wonderful cherries and wonderful blueberries. The peaches and the apples will be coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking with Luke, and he says, yep, he's going to be getting some of those in the next little while. So it'll be nice.
That'll be the food that keeps you healthy through the summer.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Shall we go into our first piece?
Absolutely.
This is a piece from somebody who I've been tracking for a long time, Catherine Austin Fitts. And it's a little 2-minute segment on a for-profit revolution funded by open source artificial intelligence. And it's the June 27, 2026 Solarii report, Catherine Austin Fitts post. Through technology, a centuries-old battle is coming to a head. And the video notes that the past of history and technology have always been short bursts of invention, creative innovation, distributed technology that increases freedom and makes life easier, followed by long periods of time where the technology is centralized, standardized, legislated, and turns into something which the elites can use to maintain control. Now, our current struggle is mostly, let me pull this up. I forgot that. That's a discussion of open source AI. And our current struggle is mostly about AI and panopticons. That's a cool AI graphic of a panopticon. But it also relates to other technologies like the printing press, the railroads, electricity, the automobile, and a lot of other inventions. And a lot of what happened in the past 300 years was also related to going somewhere else, essentially moving forward with technology. So you could start over, and everybody worries because the earth is crowded, it's full of people, and we mostly can't start over anymore unless we decide to follow Elon Musk to Mars. So Austin Fitts is wondering about where we go next. History has to change because this seems to be the last time we're going to have a choice to make things better or to create a new distributed technology. Anyway, let's watch the video. Here we go.
Tim Wu wrote a wonderful book, and I think I asked you in the Netherlands if you'd read it. It's called The Master Switch. And he goes back 200 years and goes through the history of the development of information technology. So a new technology comes out, and all the entrepreneurs are all excited, and they're like, oh, this is great, we're all going to be free. And there's this wonderful blossoming of entrepreneurial prototyping and testing, and then suddenly, whoom, it centralizes. and then it happens again through the telegram and then the telegraph and then the telephone and then and it keeps centralizing. And so this time when it centralizes, though, if you get financial transaction control, it's going to centralize in a lock that could stop, that could be it. And so it's almost as though a centuries old battle is coming to a head. And the question is, will tyranny win or will freedom win? And this is the
ultimate question. I think it's a really great way to look at the arc of history, frankly, because I think this conflict or this ebb and flow happens repeatedly.
Well, I went back and I looked at my family history, and we're in Utah, which has like the best family history place in the world. But I went and I looked and I realized they had for 500 years, they'd been moving to get away from the tyranny.
Wow.
And they kept moving west. And, now when I was an investment advisor, everybody kept saying, tell me how I can get away, and I feel like saying after 500 years, there is no way. We need to walk into the center and deal with it. And
that's a really interesting point. It's that for you just to escape to another place, and now it's like, well, it's all over. So we have to actually deal with it head on. Well, I'd be an advocate that AI can help us because it is a technology. It's a technology that could be used for whatever purpose.
Well, if they have
empowering individuals,
right? If they get machine guns and we say, "Oh, we hate that,"
yes,
we're not going to use machine guns. Correct. We're going to use bow and arrows. That's not going to work.
Then you're going to be enslaved.
Right.
No, that's right. You've got to use the technology that's available, and it can absolutely be. The seeds have been already planted. That's the good news. Like, there's a lot of challenging news. I mean, there's a lot of investment. There's a lot of stories happening. This is actually why I get up every day, and I'm so excited about Open Teams because it builds on a career for me. It builds on what I've been doing ever since I was a scientist, trying to make technology easier for scientists to understand, all the way through open source, all the way through building businesses. So I'm excited to help people not just lean into building intelligence hubs, but also lean into building businesses that are distributed and centralized.
This is what H.L. Hunt said. I told you this in the Netherlands. He said, if this country's worth saving, it's worth saving at a profit. And the reason that's important is if you're going to have a revolution, you have to finance it.
Yes, you do.
And it has to be a for-profit revolution. And the revolution has to cover its costs. And that means it has to be entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And thousands, if not millions of them leading the way.
Correct.
Saying, no, we will be free. And the citizens will support us sufficient, so that we can cover our costs.
And that's the good news. The good news is you can actually build businesses easier than ever because the AI can support the gap of talent. Building a business, one of the challenges is no one person has all the skill necessary to essentially deliver much of anything at scale, certainly not at scale.
Right.
And so a lot of building a business is organizing the group to actually do the things and cover the gaps.
Well, that was interesting.
Kind of a wide-ranging discussion. What do you think, Richard?
Exactly, yeah. That basically people who might have been scared of everything should not be scared of anything anymore.
I would say that I agree with you entirely. Most of the discussion from that little piece has to do with the technology being developed now can go both ways. It can enslave us. It can set us free. And we should embrace the technology for freedom.
Exactly.
And I think you go.
All this talk about AI, the thing that I've always stressed about AI is it has to serve man.
Yes.
It can't serve corporations.
Yes.
So as long as people realize that, then they can use that tool to serve man.
I would argue that there's so many freedom fighters who become discouraged. So many people I know who were marching like crazy 5 years ago, and who are now saying, no, I don't want to get involved with any of that new technology. The only thing that's going to save us is if we go out into the bush and we don't use any technology. That's the only thing that's going to save us.
Right.
And Fitz is saying we can be saved by using the same tools our oppressors want us to to fall to.
Well, yeah, they do, but the thing is, those people need to educate themselves on how to use those tools to benefit man.
Yes.
And if people use it properly, it will definitely help, and that'll be the proper path to go on. But
yes.
right now, we're sort of in flux right now. We're
Yes.
getting ready to cross the chasm, and whether or not the chasm's able to be holding us up as we're crossing it, we don't know yet.
I agree, but I take a substantial consolation from the patterns of history, the seeds of there's a pattern to history. There's centralization, there is freedom, there is spreading out, there are distributed environments. The situation we are in now, this too will pass.
Yep.
So I
But
think it's really,
will it pass in a good flavor for the people, or will it be for the elite? I mean, I'm kind of concerned about that part of it.
I'm less concerned than I was. Remember, I learned how to cut meat 4 years ago, and now I'm learning how to make beer. I think that we don't all have to learn how AI works and how we can use it to defeat our opponents. We all don't have to learn about how 3D printing can build us a factory in a box, and it can build us guns and everything we need to maintain our independence. We can learn our basic stuff. We can learn to farm again. We can learn to process our own foods. We can learn to,
I agree.
here and what?
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, that people need to make sure that they learn enough about the AI infrastructure and systems to be able to use them to benefit mankind.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. We
They
are
don't,
going
they,
to, you know what?
they don't need to know everything about it. They just need to understand what is important, and how to help people.
We need to learn how to use all weapons to help ourselves, to help our family, and to keep the bad guys away from us. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, it's worth noting that Catherine Austin Fitts, there she is again, she believes that our current civilization is going through a period where technology is being centralized, standardized, and legislated into something which the elites think they can use to maintain control. But the original video suggested that there are patterns to history, and nothing is ever 100%. And a good example of Austin Fitts' beliefs is one of the posts on her website. The June 22nd Solarii report, under the title, "Are Taxpayers Helping to Finance America's Data Center Boom?" Now, that piece notes that a lot of data centers are being built in the US, and most of the construction companies are receiving serious financial incentives from state and federal governments. So your taxes, my taxes, are being used to help fund data centers, and data centers are being used to build out panopticons, so everything we do can be tracked and traced. So, yeah. Now, Fitz's story goes on to tell us how this happened, why it's happening, and delves into a bit of detail as to the specific mechanisms involved. And this relates, quite frankly, to what Richard said earlier, how we have to know a little bit about AI. We have to know a little bit about the villains so we can fight against them. Now, other sections of Solarii report discuss panopticons, total surveillance states, and why we need to continue to use untraceable money, real money, and not things like, I don't know, stable coins, for example, or central bank digital currencies, which I'm told are exactly the same as stable coins. They're things that can be tracked and traced. Now, this is useful information. It comes highly recommended. And I got to say, one of my heroes, he's dead now. He died about 1.5 years ago. A gentleman named Doug Force. He thought I was so stupid way back in 2020 that he gave me a subscription to the Solarii report, and he told me this is how the world works, and you need to learn more about it. So I recommend it to everybody else. Richard, any final comments?
No, that's right. I agree with that. And of course, Doug always had everything pretty well figured out.
Yeah, that lady is very smart. She knows what banks do. She was a bankster herself. She knows what governments do. She was a government bureaucrat herself, and she's been on our side of the battle for several decades now. Very intelligent, very knowledgeable.
I wonder if she can ever sway Carnage to go to that side too.
I don't know. I always thought it'd be fun to get an interview with her, to talk to her about what the Canadian Prime Minister is doing, because he was head of the Bank of England. He was head of the Bank of Canada. He is the idealized representative of the bad guys in Austin Fitz's mind.
Yep.
Anyway, maybe I will get an interview with her.
Hey, how about that? Yeah.
Shall we go on to our next piece?
Sure.
Also in the news this week, Ontario's car industry is dying. And as outlined in the June 23rd, 2026 Driving Post article. Let me see if I get that up. My buttons aren't working quite right this week. Here it is. The Driving Post article: Canadian car production drops by 64,000. U.S. car production rises by 44,000 units in 2026. And this article notes that Canadian manufacturing built a lot of fewer vehicles, a 15% drop in Canadian production. This is the first quarter of the year through April 2026. This is compared to the same period in 2025. And it also notes that U.S. production rose by roughly 44,000 units. That's not 15% for the Americans. That's a 1.2% increase. So we are being buffeted by the change in the universe more than the Americans are. Now, it also says that most Canadian-made vehicles go to the U.S., where they're hit hard by tariffs. And even if a Canadian vehicle contains more than 50% U.S.-made parts, its tariff isn't far off when exported to the U.S. from Japan or South Korea. So there's no longer a benefit for Japanese and Korean cars to manufacturing in Canada. And that's a problem for the Canadian government, for the Ontario government. Now, the June 22nd Globe and Mail Post: if Canada auto can't survive, let it fade away. Courting China is not solution. That story notes that Mark Carnage, his Liberal government, their ongoing reaction to the situation of our car industry going to hell in a handbasket is to encourage Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers to build plants in Canada. And the Globe and Mail thinks that's really a dumb idea. Now, to be fair, and as outlined in the June 27th, the Bureau Post, Beijing's Trojan horse rolls into Canada. A national security scholar warns Carney Chinese electric vehicle deal embeds sabotage risk in the country's roads, ports, and grids. Some Canadian commentators are concerned over the plan to replace gasoline-powered Canadian-built and Detroit-designed vehicles with Chinese electric vehicles. They argue that the electric vehicles aren't made for the Canadian environment. They also argue that the Chinese government embeds itself in Canadian industries, and they put little spy things in everywhere so they can track and trace everything. Very much like what they did with our internet infrastructure back in the late 90s, early 2000s. We still have billions and billions of dollars of Chinese switches in our internet. So it's very difficult to be able to tell if our internet is tracked and traced by the Chinese government. Now, this post from the Bureau, references the June 25th McDonald Laurier Institute post under the title Power. Whoops, I forgot to put that in. Power and Peril is what the story is about. How Chinese electric vehicles, solar systems, and embedded technologies threaten Canada's national security. This article notes that Canada's embrace of Chinese EV imports creates both a new source of disagreement with the U.S. And an opportunity for cooperation with the Trump administration to thwart a common threat. So everybody's against Chinese EVs in Canada. Everybody agrees that our auto industry is going to hell in a handbasket. And then there's a discussion of it. The June 27th Globe and Mail post. Canada's embrace of Chinese EV imports creates both a new source of disagreement with the U.S., but also an opportunity for cooperation with the Trump administration. Everybody's saying we only have one real choice. Our industry is going to die. We have to join the Chinese, or maybe we could deal with Trump. Do you think? I give up, Richard. Do you think Carnage is going to deal with Trump, or do you think it's? Do you think the auto industry is doomed?
He'll deal with them at arm's length.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as I've said before, people, EVs are not good vehicles for Canada.
I agree.
They won't get you anywhere in the wintertime. And of course, they won't last. They need too much charging, too much fueling to keep them going.
I agree.
So don't fall for that trap. Stick with the ICE, internal combustion engine.
Yeah. I also argue that at this point with new cars, we have an option of being spied on by the United States, and we have the option of being spied on by China.
Yep.
Right now, I think it's easier to be spied on by the U.S.
Well, every new vehicle that comes out has got that little plastic antenna sitting on the roof.
Yeah. That means that they don't like how you drive, they can shut off your car. If you don't pay your insurance, they can shut off your car. If you don't pay your car payment, they can shut off your car. If you're going to someplace they don't like, they can shut off your car.
Yep, exactly.
So I'm not happy with that at all. Maybe.
I'll give you a little hint. If you don't want to be tracked, you can take that thing and take it off your roof. Cut the wire and put it back on.
I think that's a great idea. There's a lot of stories on YouTube these days about how to disable the security features in modern vehicles.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that automobile drivers need to learn more about these days.
Exactly.
and how is that a vague roundabout way of not doing something against the law, but giving hints?
Yep. Well, when I first saw those things, I said, okay, well, it's good because it's got the satellite antenna for GPS.
Yes.
Then I started to see how they were using it to transmit information from the car up to the satellites and down to the manufacturer.
Yes.
And of course, the police can go to the manufacturer and say, we want connection to that.
Yes.
So.
And then the police can, any one of us these days, there are so many laws in Canada, any one of us breaks 3 laws a day.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been downloading a lot of interesting stuff here. And I've had an interesting discussion with one of my colleagues out here. Had coffee with him. And never had a chance to really talk with this guy, but I've known him from our discussion groups.
Yes.
About a year and a half or more. Anyways, he does agree with me, but he also says that anything that these new bills and everything else, they're just basically changing the rules continuously, so that people don't know what's going on. So that what I'm saying, they're trying to create a bill that's going to prevent me from saying what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, me being the type of person I am, say, screw you.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak my mind. And if you don't like it, then suffer. Because I'm not going to suffer.
I think more of us should tell the government to go screw itself.
Yep, exactly.
We don't want the government to get a big head. We don't want them to think they have power over us.
They already think that.
Yeah, I know. It'll take 10 years and a lot of firings to convince them they're wrong.
Yep.
Honey, the RCMP are at the door.
I heard that from the background. Marianne
was that?
just told me the RCMP are at the door. I'm going to ignore her.
Okay.
But if I'm carted away over the next few minutes.
Yeah, and basically the other thing I've seen is don't answer the door.
Hear that, Marianne?
Don't
answer the door.
Don't acknowledge them, and don't answer the door.
Absolutely. So
I've
we
been-
go on to our next piece. We might as well finish it up since I'm not answering the door.
Okay.
This one interests me. This is an interesting plan. It says, noted in the June 25th RCI, Radio Canada International Post, under the title, Mark Carney's plan to bulk buy unsold Vancouver condos might be a bailout for the condo companies, but it doesn't have to be. And according to this story, last week, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney announced, a partnership with the BC government to buy approximately 2,000 unsold condos in Vancouver and repurpose them, resell them eventually as low-income housing units to low-income wage earners, people like you and I.
Yeah,
Now,
to the immigrants.
It's what?
Sell it to the immigrants.
Of course. He wants to sell it to somebody. Now,
Yeah.
The federal government has indicated it is willing to contribute 10% to the acquisition funding pool with the provincial government and other investors. Now, the plan is officially to buy the properties at below market value and then rent out under rent-to-own contracts. Now, some people say this is a bailout for the developers because the developers overbuilt on condos, and now they're going to suffer for it. And who wants to pay developers for making a stupid mistake? The developers are rich already; they don't need any more money. But the BC condo plan also has quite a bit of overlap with another plan to do pretty much the same thing in Toronto. This is a 3-month-old plan. And according to the March 27th, 2026 Better Dwelling Post, Ontario launches $1.3 billion Toronto condo developer bailout, warns bank. The 3-month-old Toronto plan is, $1.3 billion public-private partnership launched by the province with a $3 million injection from something called the Building Ontario Fund, which is a Crown agency. And it's done in partnership with private firm High Art Capital. And they want to bulk buy 2,200 stalled or vacant GTA condo units, converting them into long-term rentals with rent-to-buy leases. But critics don't like this idea. These critics include housing advocates and some major banks, and they argue that the program acts as a shield for over-leveraged developers and investors who get the government to pay off their debts, reward them for bad markets, and nobody has to lower prices for individual buyers. That's what they're arguing. Now, they also argue that by keeping unit prices artificially high and buying the condos for near their official market value, the intervention might discourage the natural price correction needed to make homeownership attainable. A bailout by the government will maintain existing market conditions where people can't afford to buy condos or buy houses or anything like that. Now, the June 24th Toronto Star Post, under the title, Ontario is putting up to $178 million into a stalled Toronto rental project. Is it a good investment or a bailout? Now, that article notes that the underlying market stagnation has already prompted developers to cancel almost 1,000 condo units in Toronto, shifting them entirely to proposed built rental models without subsidies. So the federal government doesn't have to do anything. The market is forcing condo developers to do something good. So who wins? Probably not citizens or renters, probably not you and I, probably not anyone looking to become a homeowner. This is according to the June 25th discussion in our Toronto real estate. And it's got a really complex title. And it's titled PM Carney Tries to Clarify What the $1 billion Condo Bailout Entails, noting that BC came up with the idea and no developer asked for it. And it quotes Carney as saying, I don't think we've done a particularly good job of rolling this one out and explaining what it is. Now, no one really knows if the properties are being sold to individuals or to large corporations like Brookfield or BlackRock, and how much commissions, how much handouts the government is going to make to facilitate this operation. But if the government starts buying condos at market rates, not below, somebody in government is making big cash, and the program is going to be a bailout, the latest in a long line of liberal government money for influence scandals. Now that I've done my diatribe, Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, I know. Just keep on tossing the money to those who don't need it,
Yep.
but claim they need it. And of course, basically continue to devalue our already zero value Canadian dollar.
Absolutely. That program will require money. The Carney government is going to have to print it. Everybody else is going to buy everything on a loan. That's going to increase inflation again. Developers will make good money. Carney's friends will make money. I got this feeling in the back of my mind that Brookfield's going to make money too.
Oh yeah. Yep. All the shares that he's still got in that company.
Mm-hmm. But I don't have any shares in Brookfield. You and I aren't going to make any money out of this.
Oh heck no. And of course, well, we could have bought shares, but the thing is I don't buy into the stock market, because if I don't have control, then I don't buy into it.
No, I agree with that. But Carney has control over this, and he's definitely brought into it. There's no way around that.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Shall we go on to our next piece?
Sure.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. This is a piece about Daniel Smith. The June 20th, huh? Daniel Smith. It's a good piece about Daniel Smith. This is the June 26th, the Tyee Post, under the title, Daniel Smith's Love Letter to Quebec. Now, according to this story, Premier Smith traveled to Quebec this week, seeking allies for her controversial push to withdraw Alberta from the Canadian pension plan, and for other reasons. Now, Smith is facing mounting pressure as the federal government refuses to provide a clear figure on Alberta's share of Canada pension plan assets. This is a number Smith says is essential before any referendum. I note that this article that I have up on the screen here is from 2024. That's 2 years ago. Nothing's changed in the last 2 years. No accountants totaled up the money and divided up the Canada pension plan. Nobody in Ottawa wants to do that. Mostly because Ontario and other provinces have raised alarms about Smith's proposal to claim over half the Canada pension plan assets. Now, the issue is becoming a major constitutional flashpoint, and Smith is threatening court action to force federal budget disclosure, so everybody can get a sense on what the Alberta government is owed them. Richard, do you think this will ever be resolved?
Oh no, this is just something that they've created that'll keep going for years and years and years, and they'll talk about it and try different things, but they're not going to get anywhere.
Oh dear. So what is this? Is this just a negotiating position for better deals?
No, it's not even that. It's just a game that they're playing, and they play these games just to keep people in line. We're doing something. No, they're not. This is going to go on for years and years and years, just like the Kamloops residential schools and all that stuff. It's all going to keep on going for years and years and years. It's a way to waste money, make it look like something's happening, but nothing is happening.
You're a cynical man, and I've been working with you for over 2 years, and you're turning me into a cynical man.
But it's the truth, though.
I agree with you. It's what it is. These are arguments that are never solved.
Right. Exactly. So for me, I just look at it and say they're just creating different things that they're going to waste money on forever and ever, never resolve the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is trying to resolve stuff. He's trying to stop the wars. He's trying to stop that 47-year war.
We're going to talk about that a little later. I would argue that while he may be trying to do that, he hasn't succeeded so far.
Not yet, because he's got too many people that are really going against him. But still, we'll talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Any more about this before we go into the next one?
Nope.
Then let's go into the next one. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Our next piece. In a major bid to combat domestic tourism slumps and cost of living fatigue, the federal government has officially reintroduced the Canada Strong Tourism Pass program. They did this just last week on June 19th. Now, it is officially designed to incentivize Canadians to travel within their own borders this summer. The pass provides free entry to all national parks and historic sites, steep discounts on public accommodations, and slashed Via Rail fares for youth and families. So it's like a Eurail pass when you and I were kids. The Canadian government argues that with inflation squeezing household recreational budgets, the initiative serves as both a public morale booster and a targeted lifeline for regional hospitality economies that rely heavily on consumer summer travel. It represents a very interventionist approach to propping up domestic consumer spending at a time when discretionary travel has taken a massive hit. Do you think it's a good idea, Richard, or are you just the government's taking our money and giving it back to us?
Basically, yeah, they're trying to keep the economy moving. So with the tourist season, they want to make sure that people are going to be able to go to these places. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you one thing: if you try and go into Banff now and find a parking spot, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg to park your vehicle.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because, and of course, they're not going to help those people at all because, they can afford to travel. Well, what the heck?
Yeah.
They're also providing the economy in that area.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. So you think this is a waste? This is the government giving us our own money back?
Exactly, and of course, what are they giving to the tourists?
Yeah,
tourists, are they paying for it?
They should give us back they should give us more of our gas money back, because I recall gasoline is like 60% taxes.
Yeah, well, it seems that way. Yeah. Because everything's all hidden from the production line all the way up, and there's all these taxes that they're paying, and we're paying those taxes too. It's not just the ones that they imposed on the people. It's also the ones that the production companies, oil companies, as they're doing the production, they're they're paying an awful lot of tax there, and we never know how much tax is really being paid.
Yeah, good point. We don't know. That's government was always supposed to be transparent, but there's so much we don't know about government these days.
Exactly. Yeah.
Shall we go on to our next piece?
Sure.
This one is also about not knowing what our government's doing, but I kind of think it's a happy story. It starts 4 years ago, back in March 2022, when Chinese diplomat Zhao Lujian cited a U.S. report to claim America ran 336 labs in 30 countries, bioweapon labs, including 26 in Ukraine. And he called for multilateral independent verification of any biological military activities. And up until 2 weeks ago, the Americans ignored this entirely, even though the Chinese diplomat used American secret documents. But 2 weeks ago, the 2022 video and accusations gained new life as outgoing U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard on June 12th declassified all the documents the Chinese diplomat referenced years ago. All these documents were declassified. They related to U.S. funding for labs, most of which was through the Defense Department's Biological Threat Reduction Program. And the documents are now on the appropriate government website, and they essentially support the 2022 Chinese claims. Now, the materials hosted on the Office of the Director of National Intelligence website, still, Gabbard's gone, but it's still on the website, and they include a PDF of slides declassified separately earlier in 2026. These slides highlight U.S. support for labs handling dangerous pathogens. Gabbard framed the release as revealing never before seen evidence that had been withheld from the public, which was true. And she accused prior administrations and officials, including Dr. Anthony Fauci and other Biden-era national security figures. And Gabbard accused them of lying about the lab's existence and threatening those who raised concerns, which is absolutely what happened during COVID. Now, as outlined in the June 26th Chemistry World post, this is usually the first note of this comes in trade publications like Chemistry World. It'll take a day or so for them to get to the major American legacy media outlets. But according to Chemistry World, Anthony Fauci subpoenaed to face accusations on COVID origins that may become test of Biden pardon. Now, according to this story, Fauci is one of the world's leading infectious disease experts. His fingerprints and his actions are all over the documentation the Chinese diplomat referenced in March 2022 and Gabbard released 2 weeks ago. And Anthony Fauci has been subpoenaed by the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee to testify on questions that naturally come out from these documents. Now, Fauci, who helped guide the U.S. response to COVID-19, is being accused of manipulating intelligence on the origins of the pandemic and lying to Congress to cover up alleged wrongdoing in the agency. He is expected to testify before the committee, not so far in the future, sometime in July. Now, for more on Fauci and his sketchy past, it's worth taking a look at the June 24th, 2026 Real Clear Wire post under the title Fauci, the CIA, and the Unanswered Questions of COVID. And I'm going to wrap this up by saying, God damn, Richard, every country, including the U.S., except for Canada, is finally drawing the conclusion that COVID was a disaster for public health.
COVID doesn't exist.
I know, but the lockdowns existed, the fake vaccines killed millions, and
Yep.
and the government ripped away all our freedoms.
Yep, and that's what they wanted to do, but they tried. Of course, that failed miserably. The people of the world are standing up again, and they're not accepting anything that the government says. If you believe anything that comes out of the government, especially their health departments, you're a stupid idiot. You're just a stupid idiot, really. And I don't care who I insult on that, but the health departments are basically destroying everything, and they
are captured by big pharma, and they're sending us stuff. They're recommending stuff to us that's killing us.
Yep, yeah. And what's interesting is the health departments, when they put these things, they saw this and they were just having a great time because they were going to have everybody under control. Everybody was going to start taking their drugs and everything else that they were pushing. The whole system got sucked into it, and it's now coming out that that's what happened.
I look forward. It's going to take 2 more years before the Canadian malfeasance comes out, but I look forward to being hale and hearty and happy and working with you when it comes out.
Yeah, yes, of course. And no jabs, no drugs. That's one of the things we were discussing yesterday over coffee, this friend of mine and I. And we just basically, I told him, I says, anybody who told me to do the vaccine, I said, I do not do drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And they would basically, okay. So, it's just the way it is.
I think I told this story to you before, but for anybody not listening, I cut my finger about 6 months ago when I was working at Foodland. Maybe it was a year ago. Man, time flies when you're having fun. And I went there and I got 2 stitches and they let me go. But the intake forms that you have to fill out, they were shocked and appalled that I wasn't on some sort of drug by this time in my life. You're not on any drugs. Do you want some? Evidently, 70% of the population my age is on some sort of drug.
Yeah, of course. I'm supposed to be on drugs too.
Yeah, I could have sworn you were.
No, I use all the natural stuff. Moringa. There's a few others that I use now, and of course collagen. So I use natural stuff. Bee pollen is another one.
Yeah.
So I won't use anything that Big Pharma tries to push on.
I agree. I try to do that as much as I can.
Yeah.
But here's hoping the truth comes out. I mean, it's coming out in the States. Here's hoping it comes out in Canada.
Yeah. Exactly.
You want to do a Trump diatribe? Here's your chance.
Okay.
Combat continues in both Lebanon, where Israeli forces are fighting Hezbollah, and in Iran, where American and Iranian forces are attempting to work out a peace deal before Iran runs out of money and the U.S. runs out of oil. And near as I can tell, that will take another 3 weeks. I think I sound cynical. Correct me, Richard. What's going on down there?
I just basically saw that there's not really much happening. Your viewpoint there about Iran or the U.S. running out of oil and Iran running out of money. Well, yeah, of course. That's how war is. You want to make sure that somebody runs out of whatever they need.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the Palestine issue too. That Israel is really still pushing. They're just out there destroying blow everything up. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. especially, and I got the impression they had agreed on a ceasefire this morning because there was nothing left to blow up in Lebanon.
Yeah. But the thing is, so that's a good way to get a ceasefire, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
It needs to be official.
And I think we could say the same thing about what's happening in Ukraine, even though there's been some fairly big things blowing up over the last week or so. There's been a fairly major attack on Moscow, and there's been some other major attacks. But very much the same thing is happening in Ukraine. Nothing.
Yep, exactly. So people are, of course, they're going to ramp that up because they have to keep people in fear.
Yeah.
But it's because people are saying, "Oh, nothing's happening." Okay, well, let's make something happen so we can keep people going.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think something must happen over the next 3 or 4 weeks, or else trouble is going to begin brewing.
Yes. So we'll see.
Want to have some fun?
Okay.
I want to. I would argue that what's a last week today episode without some gratuitous slagging of the CBC?
Sure.
Now, back in the 70s, this CBC logo was called the Flaming Asshole. And I think to this day, CBC is the flaming asshole of government-funded journalism in Canada. Now, here's the first few minutes of the June 16th, 2026 Corbett Report piece on the CBC exposed. Now, Corbett's Canadian, but he lives in Japan. He mostly deals with world affairs, but he thought, gotta do a piece about CBC. Here we go.
So you know how everyone has been looking for that single, solitary, infallible source of truth? Well, good news, everybody. It's been discovered. It's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
At CBC, our journalism is fact-checked. It's verified. We don't put anything out into the world unless we know it to be true, or if we haven't verified it, then we'll tell you that. Our journalism is produced by humans who have to meet a really high bar in terms of standards. We're accountable for our journalism. And in the rare cases where we get something wrong, we'll own it. We'll tell you what we got wrong and how we fixed it. And you will never, ever have to wonder what is real or what is fake if it comes from CBC News.
You'll never have to wonder what is real or what is fake if it comes from the CBC. What a strange and Orwellian thing to say, as Cosmin Zurdza correctly observes on Twitter. But, call me cynical, but maybe, just maybe, the CBC has gotten a thing or two wrong in its 90 years of broadcasting history. And maybe, just maybe, some of those errors have never been acknowledged or corrected. And maybe, just maybe, rather than randomly, by chance, by bad luck, getting a thing or two wrong here and there, the CBC is in fact part of the lying establishment media oligopoly that has created the fake news paradigm that defines the modern establishment media. What do you think? Let's find out.
You're listening to the Corbett Report. CorbettReport.com.
Now, I just wanted to do that first 2 minutes of the video to show how really, really good some independent journalists are these days. But I also think it's important to note that the piece went on for an hour. It notes several instances where the CBC objectively blurred the line between politically charged fiction and accurate reporting, where they talked about residential school stories, promoting the unproven claim that unmarked graves on residential school sites existed, where they did videos of crowded emergency rooms during the COVID lockdowns, and learned later that those crowded rooms, emergency rooms during the COVID lockdowns, were populated entirely by training dummies. We also talked about Corbett also talked about Adrian Arsenault dismissing claims about Chinese manufacturing the coronavirus. Remember the Gabbard piece just a bit earlier. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff going for a full hour, a whole bunch of other really good stuff, interesting data points of CBC history going back to the 1930s. And at one point during the video, Corbett says, "Salute the flag and pour some maple syrup on it. These stories are golden." And I just want everyone to check out the full 1 hour documentary. We'll include a link to it in the show notes. Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And Corbett's always really comes up with a lot of interesting scripts that he writes.
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely fun piece.
Oh, yeah.
One more piece before we go into the Mongo Minds piece. Let me see if it's. I want to talk a little bit about the Montreal Manifesto. Are you familiar with it?
Is that the guy who from Alberta who went to Montreal to kill people?
He killed a couple of police officers and one person who looked like he was going in there to try and figure out what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth noting that he wrote a manifesto, a 104-page manifesto, where he named his viewpoints and he talked about what he wanted to say. CBC, almost all legacy news except for Rebel News, has refused to post the manifesto. And I'm wondering, I don't know, he talks about a lot of silly stuff. Do you think we should post the manifesto?
Might as well. I mean, it's a historical document.
Absolutely. And I think he tries to define why all these things are bad. CBC just slags him. They use a couple of swear words. They call him an incel, and they don't say anything. But I'm not sure. Rebel News says that this is part of the crime, and this is something that should go out. But you say we should publish it. I think we will publish it. We will put it out on our website tomorrow morning. It's a 105-page PDF.
Yep.
And that's, that's my last piece for tonight. We have one more, though.
Yeah. Mine.
Terminal cancer?
Terminal cancer cured by 3 herbs.
Yeah. This is also related to the Tulsi Gabbard piece. This goes to what the government says.
The thing to remember on this particular piece is that it's got the story of this guy who was cured, but then, of course, a doctor wanted to find out the details. So he got the 3 herbs and he got the sample and everything else, and then came up with a different mainstream medical conclusion on it. Don't know which one is true, which one is false, but still, let's take a look at it.
Here we go. June 27th, Mongo Minds on BitChute post, terminal cancer cured by 3 herbs.
I drank this for 9 weeks, and at the end of 9 weeks, the cancer clinic could not find one thing wrong with me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You mean pain left your body, too?
Everything.
In 9 weeks?
Yes, in 9 weeks' time.
Red clover?
It was red clover, herbaline, and chaparral. 3 herbs, strangely enough, mentioned by 3 prophets from 3 different continents. And Dr. Ian Pierce called me, England's top oncologist, and he said, "I've read about you in the paper, your recovery. Can I come and examine you?" I said, "Yes."
Oh, yeah.
He came and examined me, took blood tests and so on, and he said, "It's unbelievable. Can I have some of the tea? We need to analyze it." And he took it all mixed together as I was drinking it. In a few days' time, he called me and said, "I'm terribly sorry to tell you this, Jason, but this didn't cure any illness at all. All it did is purify your blood to such an extent your natural immunity healed your body." He said, God did not throw us down here and say, "Here's 10,000 fast food restaurants, there's pollution in the air, pollution in the water, have a good time." He gave us something in our body to heal ourselves called the immune system. And in biblical times, any one of those herbs would and did work in different continents to purify the blood so the body healed itself. Nowadays, our blood is so toxic that it took the combined efforts of the 3 herbs mixed together to purify your blood, and your body healed itself But one thing, and this is the end of the story here.
Oh, it's wonderful.
One thing, he said, an amazing thing, Buddha told the Indian people 2,500 years ago to use herbaline, a special herb. When we analyzed it in the laboratory, we found that herbaline is a catalyst, and it made the other two 27 times stronger. And that's why this worked for you. Every day on radio and TV, I say, terminal cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I could see that. It
Yeah.
changed your life and all those miracles and all these people you're affecting.
Yes, it's marvelous, you know.
Now, you've been to various countries and you wrote a book, The Jason Winter Story.
It's in 9 languages, actually.
9 languages?
They called it Killing Cancer. And when it was published in China, it sold 6 million copies immediately.
Also, in the United States, we haven't heard many of this story. How come?
I don't know. You know, I'm working with Prince Charles on the Federation of Integrative Medicine, and I've been to Washington a few times. We've even got an award from the American Congress.
Really?
We're the only company in the alternative health field to do this. But the public needs to be aware of it.
It's a good story.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a cure, but it's a purification process for your blood.
Mm-hmm.
Or for your immune system, so that way your body can take care of it itself.
Do you know his name? I thought he was Jason Winter. Is that his name?
I don't recall. I would have to listen to it again.
Okay, I'm going to do it a couple of things. I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to put in the show notes what I find, because he's written a book, so the book must be available, and,
Yep.
and I'm curious to know what happened to him.
Yep, exactly. So, anyways. And I happen to have red clover all over the property.
That's why you look so hale and hearty.
Yeah, well, it's something that we like to plant clover here instead of grass.
Okay.
Because it stays relatively under control, and it's nice and soft to walk.
Very cool. Shall we wind up?
Yes, absolutely. I'm tired. I need to do a stretch out and then a nap before bedtime.
I'm tired. What's on your plate for the next couple of days?
Yeah, tomorrow I've got one story. It's about 34 minutes long. I believe it's Matt, if I'm not mistaken, again. And he's covering a number of topics. He covers a lot of good stuff, so I just want to make sure that people realize that. But I always make sure I tell people that Matt is not a technical person. So where he gets his technical information from is beyond me. So anyways, I'll be doing that tomorrow, and then I've got I'm going to have to find some stories to do for Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday I'll travel again, and Thursday I'll do another long story, and Friday I will do another 5 or 8 stories.
Yeah. And then on Sunday you'll be here with me.
Back with you. Yep.
And I got to tell you, it looks like I'm settling into my new job. I'm hoping to go back to doing 2 shows a week sometime over the next month or so. But you've been patient with me, Richard. I deeply appreciate that. And it's nice that work is finally slipping into something sensible and rational. I can do my real work around.
Yep. Yeah.
And as for Freedom Forum, we normally record every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time on a variety of internet platforms, including the one you are watching. I think I might keep 8 p.m. on Sunday night. It seems to be something I can work with. We republish next day with notes on our Substack page at chuckblack.substack.com. And most of our stories slide behind a paywall after a month online. So if you'd like to maintain access, the easiest thing to do is to sign up for a monthly subscription. Everyone knows what it is. $20, $160 a year gives you all sorts of goodies. We also have the Substack app, but frankly, not very many people use that. Mostly they send us emails and stuff, and we've got some good story ideas out of them. So I hope I hope they continue sending the stories. My name is Chuck Black. I directed the show using StreamYard, which we recommend, but only if you sign up using either Richard's or my link. We do this because we get a little bonus out of this at the end of each month to help defray some of our costs. And, show notes will be up on Substack tomorrow. We will be back next Sunday at 8 p.m. for sure for another episode of Last Week Today. Richard, did I miss anything?
Nope, you caught it all.
It's about time. I've had a good day. I'll see you in a week, Richard. Always a pleasure to work with you. Good night.
Okay. Night.